When I was at uni, I started dating this guy. At first, he was wonderful. Dedicated to his studies, fun to be around, attentive, and always surprising me with things, working hard at his job, etc. Then, bit by bit, things unraveled. He started skipping classes. Then he barely bothered going at all. Worse still, he never helped out around the house. He never washed up, he never cleaned, never did laundry. Nada, nothing. He was even fired from his job for too many no-shows. All he wanted to do was sit around at home, playing on the Xbox or browsing the message boards and forums. Yeah, this was before social media, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. And I had to pick up extra shifts to cover his stuff. Sometimes double, sometimes triple shifts, all while going to class and studying. I later learned that this was a pattern for him. He'd really dedicate himself to whatever he set his heart on. Then he'd get bored and fall back into his old habits. Then he'd find a new passion and rinse and repeat. I knew I should have ended the relationship much sooner, but I held out hope that he would just snap out of it. That maybe it was just exam stress getting to him. I desperately wanted things to go back to how they were, but it was not meant to be. I caught him cheating, and so I threw his ass out. I was so stressed with everything that it wasn't until the next day that our joint savings account crossed my mind. There was a little over $5,000 in there. And barring a few hundred from him, the rest of the money I had saved. I checked the account, and it was all gone. My ex had cleaned out the account and moved into a flat with his side chick. I called the bank. Nothing they could do. He was authorized on the account. I called the police. They told me there was nothing they could do since it was a joint account, so nothing criminal had actually taken place. They suggested I look into a civil court. But I said I'd probably spend more money than I get back on legal fees, and so hardly any point. It's not like it's worth it, is it? My ex had stolen $5,000 from me, and there was nothing that I could do about it. I felt like such an idiot. I got even angrier when I saw his posts on various forums, boasting about his new games console, new games, new TVs, other gadgets, all bought with my money. Now, I'm not usually a vengeful person. Petty on occasion, sure, but I've never wanted to exact revenge as much as I did right then. And I knew just how to do it. While I was a student, I temped every summer to help pay for my studies. One such job had been for a debt collection agency. The work was shitty, as you can well imagine, but it was really well paid. My ex had been dodging debt for many years, and he was very proud of that fact. He was also proud of the fact that his debt was close to being statute barred, and he hadn't paid a penny. So for those of you that don't know, in the UK, creditors have about 6 years to collect a debt, and then it becomes statute barred. That basically means that the money's still technically owed, but the creditors have no legal way to enforce payment, such as using bailiffs, etc. My ex was a few months away from reaching statute barred status. However, what a lot of people don't know is that making a payment on the debt resets the clock. If you pay any amount, then that 6 years starts from scratch. Now, previously, I used my insider knowledge to help him dodge the debt. Now, I would use it to hit him where it hurts. By the end of our relationship, I was handling everything, including his debts, so I had the paperwork, and I knew how much he owed and who to. I called his creditors up. I was honest and said I was a friend calling to make a payment on his behalf. I didn't pretend to be him, because that would be a big legal no-no. They weren't allowed to disclose any details, of course, but they were able to take the payment. I paid the minimum I could on each debt, about £1 on most of them. But one had a minimum payment of £1.50. It was the best £8.50 I have ever spent. I also made sure to give them his new address and contact details, as well as his parents' address and all the other information that I had. Having worked in the biz, I knew they couldn't change the address on the account since I wasn't the account holder, but they could make a note of it. And then they had various systems where they could search for his name against those addresses to see if anything came up. If they got a hit, they'd change the address. The trap was set. All I had to do was wait. A few months rolled by. Then it happened. His posts on the forums went from boasting about his new gaming PC to panic about court dates. He called me and begged for my advice. I told him to F off. Seeing as I wouldn't help him, he asked for advice from the forums. Now, one of his online friends told him not to turn up to court, that way they wouldn't be able to prosecute him. That was terrible advice and 100% untrue. In fact, turning up to court is pretty much the worst thing you can do, especially in civil court. This was just getting better and better. The court date came and went. My ex naturally didn't go. A few weeks later, my ex is posting photos of his empty flat. Bailiffs had cleaned him out and taken everything. They took every last one of his shiny new gadgets, all of his toys, consoles, PC, the lot. Gone. On top of that, he ended up with several CCJs, they're county court judgments. Now, these are a big deal, and they seriously damage your credit history, making it basically impossible to get even a bank account. You can't get any credit, and that you can't get mortgages. And it also makes it really hard to rent a place, because landlords don't like renting to people with CCJs as they're considered high risk. He also won't be able to find any jobs in the financial sector. Now that he was broke and didn't have nice things, his side chick left him. Now, I never did get my 5k back, but it felt good to see everything he bought with his ill-gotten gains taken away. I hope that 5k was worth it.